Okay, so welcome to Financial Literacy 101, everybody. So we're presenting this today with the Financial Literacy Council, which is a non-profit organization that actually started off as a club through the SFSS, which is really neat. And now they work not-for-profit trying to improve the financial literacy of Canadians. So we've been working with them as the Simon Fraser Student Society since summer to put on these workshops. We've seen lots of people coming out and it's been really great. So just before we start, I know one of you had already been to one of the workshops, but does everyone here know what the SFSS is and does? Yes? No?
Student society.
Kind of. Yeah, so the SFSS is the organization that represents all undergraduate students at SFU. So every single semester you folks pay a fee alongside your tuition. And we use that to do many things. So we provide the UPass, we run the pub, the Ladle, and Higher Grounds Coffee. And something else we do is advocacy work. So the Financial Literacy Initiative is through the SFSS Advocacy Committee. We also do all sorts of other stuff. So for instance, working on improving transit. Some of you will have a flyer on your thing there. But your student dollars funded the workshop today. They funded the food in the back. So this is one of the many things that the SFSS does. Our elections are coming up soon. So you'll see posters all over campus and everything like that as well. So that's, if you have any other questions, our offices are in the back there if you're interested in getting more involved. But yeah, this is one of the things we do and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So my name is Sam. I'll be speaking with you for you today. Hold on, let me see if that works. So that's me. Okay. So if you don't already have in front of you, there's a template. If you can go into the back and grab the handouts. These are some of the major themes that we'll be speaking about when we're learning about Financial Literacy 101, or the basic or general financial literacy. And we'll go through this as detailed as we want, because I want to get a survey from everybody here in terms of what you guys want to talk about in terms of financial literacy. Do you have any thought in terms of what you guys want to talk about? So I can put it here. Volunteers.
Pretty much like a savings plan, financial savings plan.
Savings plan, okay.
Investments.
Investments.
Credit score.
Say that again?
Credit score.
Credit score. Excellent. Anything else?
What about tax return?
Tax return, all right. That's it? Sounds good? Everybody's happy with that? Excellent. Well, speaking about tax return, we are going to have a tax clinic. I believe that's going to be on March 11. What's going to happen is that a colleague of ours, an accountant by the name of Jason Accountant, will be here presenting, and it's not just presenting what a tax return looks like. We are actually going to do the tax return for you. So we're actually going to do a tax return, a sample of tax return, which you can actually do it online here. So please bring your laptop or whatever it is if you have any tax softwares, and bring your T4s, bring your T23s, bring all your tuition credits and all those receipts, and you can you can ask us at that time whether or not you should claim that, or is there any benefit for you to claim it? Is there, if there's any other questions that you have at that time. How many of you guys are actually international students? 3 of you guys. Excellent. So that would be good questions for you to ask, whether or not you need to file taxes at the time, what kind of benefit that you need to get, and going forward, how do you deal with taxes in Canada? Okay, perfect. So let's hope that my mouse is working. So today, when we talk about Financial Literacy 101 or general financial literacy, we always talk about financial house. And in front of you, if you look into your handouts, there is a house-looking graph. So that's your financial house. And Okay, so financial house consists of 9 rooms. Not a lot of people actually wanted to talk about everything. When you go to banks, when you go to financial advisors, they usually focus a lot on the savings and retirements. And there's a lot of financial advisors as well who focuses a lot on life insurance. They don't talk a lot on the other 7 rooms. And this is a mistake. Because if you don't want to talk about the foundation pieces of your financial house, then you shouldn't focus too much on the 2 rooms that is above your foundation. So when we start talking about or learning what you need to know about your financial situation, your financial house, we always start with budget. Who here has done budget? 2 of you guys. Can somebody define a budget? Can somebody tell me what a budget is?
Limited amount of money you can spend.
It's a limited amount of money that you can spend. That's interesting. How many of you guys are working? How many of you guys are planning to work within a couple of years or so?
Professionally?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And how many of you guys are actually not going to work and just focus on study? None of you. So you guys are going to be working in some form of it. So all of you have some form of income. Is that correct? And this income is excluded with, parents' allowances, right? Or, well, some of them have some parents' allowances. Okay, so budget that's correct. Budget is a limited amount of resources that you have, and how do you allocate that to, to make a living, or to spend, to pay your bills, and to live your life. A lot of people don't understand that budget needs to come with a discipline and needs to start with a good habit. I don't know if you have been offered credit cards lately in SFU, so I'm not sure if anybody of you guys actually have credit cards here. So show of hands, who has credit cards? Interesting. How do you get the credit cards? Who's here just filling out an application and all of a sudden they send you a credit card?
I think they do need you to go to the bank.
Oh, they told you to go to bank. Okay.
They didn't tell me when I submitted the application, but I was told by the phone call.
So how many of you have more than $3,000 in their credit card? In balance? No? Or so everything less than 500 or $1,000? $3,000. $3,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this is talking about credit score, or touching a little bit on that. The reason why financial institution wants to give you credit cards, they want to entice you of the purchasing power you do not yet have. You point out very, very eloquently before that a budget is supposed to be a resource that you actually have and that you earn or that you were given, and then you have the ability to decide where those money goes. A credit, on the other hand, feels like that. It feels like a resource that you have, but technically it's not. It's somebody else's money that was given to you, okay? And if you don't return it at a specific time, they will apply certain interest. And this is where a lot of people don't understand. Credit card is one of the most highest interest, investment, and return for investors and for banks. Because right now, the rate of return that banks get from providing credit cards to people like us is on average about 19%. For us to do it, to see it in a different view, if we want to get a 19% of return on our investment or on our cash, we need to put that into a very significant risk, such as investing in gold, such as investing in very, very small businesses that is just starting. For banks, they just invested in students. They just have a contract indicating that you will pay, and if not, terrible things will happen. And we'll talk about that later on. Estate and inheritance planning, this talks about the wills, power of attorney, and living will. How many of you guys have will? Okay, there's one of you. Very interesting. How many of you guys know what a will is? Okay, good. In Canada, a will is a legal document to let the government as well as everybody else know what you want to do when you pass away in terms of how your asset is going to be distributed. Okay? Failing to do so, failing of not having a will, the government of Canada will create one for you. And it usually takes about a couple of months to create a will, and people in your family will be very, very upset, and they will be fighting over each other in terms of, no, 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 that's not what you want this happen in terms of the asset division. And they fight usually about 2 or 3 years, and then at the end of the day, the lawyers get all your money, and everybody's sad. So, will is a very important document as you go graduated into, from school, a document that you need to always have in mind whenever you have significant amount of asset. Now, if you don't have any asset, and if you have debt, don't need to have a will, because you need to pay about $500, $300 to $500 to create a will. You may want to consider power of attorney, however, because power of attorney is another legal document that allows you to appoint somebody else to act on your behalf to make financial and legal decisions only should you not be able to do so. So I've had about 3 cases last year. So I met about 700 people last year from the health authority in terms of dealing with financial literacy. And 3 of them had certain incidents which require them to relinquish their power to make decisions. If they do not have power of attorney, 1, their asset will be frozen. 2, it will take them again another 6 to 12 months to clarify to the court and to apply for a committeeship, to apply for a power to make some decisions on financial and legal. So a lot of people have talked to me or questioned me to go, when do I need to have the power of attorney? Well, technically, if you have a bank account, or significant amount of bank accounts, if you're living alone in terms of, nobody actually going to pay your bills if something happened to you, please consider power of attorney. As you graduate, as you get more income, this becomes more and more important. Because if you have children, if you're married, okay, sometimes when you're married, you have different accounts in banks, different bank accounts. Without power of attorney, your wife cannot technically access your account. So if something happened to you, and all your asset, all your bills are being paid from your one account, and something happened to you and you can't actually access that account, you're done. You have to wait for the court to allow your wife or whoever it is to have access to your account and start paying those bills. Yes?
Should banks here have a pay on death form that you could sign so that doesn't happen?
Pay on death form.
Yeah, I heard at home, I heard that you can go to the bank and fill out some form and...
Yeah, but that's not, so power of attorney is when you're still alive.
Oh, okay.
So it's just you're incapacitated. So like I said, I have 3 cases where people they go into comas or they are not mentally able to make decisions anymore. If you're dead, it goes to the will. So will is when you're dead, power of attorney is when you're alive. Power of attorney only deals with financial and legal. Wills also deal with financial and legal. The other document is called living will. Living will deals with your health decisions. So who gets to unplug the machine if you are in a coma? Who gets to decide whether or not that's it for you? We don't want to spend an extra $2,000 a month to keep that heart pumping machine pumping new blood on you. Who gets to decide that? I know it's pretty relatively early for you to think about all this, but those are part of the foundational pieces in your financial house. A lot of people fail to actually complete these foundational pieces, and then when they are focusing too much on the savings and retirement, they're exposing themselves into the risk of getting sick, being disabled, and death. And trust me, when those things happen, when you're ill, when you're disabled, when you're when you're dead, that's when a lot of people want your money. Okay? And they will do everything they can to get as much as possible from your estate. And if you have no plan, guess what? They get all the best things from your estate. So you get to decide what you want to do with that. Emergency fund deals with what is your comfort zone, or what is your number in terms of your bank account or your checking or saving account or liquid money that you want to always retain at all times. A lot of people are asking me in terms of emergency fund, saying, why do we need emergency fund? Well, emergency fund is supposed to be created so that in the case of an emergency, meaning that let's say you lose your job, let's say there is a family member that requires your assistance, let's say there is a big event that is suddenly happening that you need to deal with directly, and sometimes money can make those problems easier. And failing for you to actually set aside some form of a liquid money can be very catastrophic, because you don't want to go and dip into your credit card. Remember, they take 19% every time you don't pay it. So how much do we want usually for emergency funds? About 4 to 6 times your monthly expenses. Okay, statistically, if somebody loses their job, it will take them about 4 to 6 months to get up again and find a new job. So that's where we base that 4 to 6 times. Okay, monthly expenses. That means when something happened that requires you to, let's say, unable to earn a little bit of, unable to earn your income, then you have 4 to 6 months to think about what you need to do, and you're not going to be desperate and resort to other bad things in life. Debt reduction is about finding out whether or not you should use other people's money to earn some interest for yourself. When you go into, who here has student loans? No one? Okay, just one. Okay, good. So why do people take student loans? You're leveraging government money to make sure that when you finish your study, you will earn an income that will be able to pay those loans. And you will earn a higher income because of your education. So you're leveraging something. You're owing somebody else's money because you don't have that resource at the time, with hope that with the education or with something that you get from that money, you will be able to repay it even more, and you will gain a little bit more benefit for yourself. A lot of people, though, goes into debt because of fear, okay, as well as false expectations. So I've had the unfortunate events to actually counsel a couple of married couples because they want to be married because they want to be a hero to the other spouse. They want to make sure that they're foreseen as the hero because the other spouse is actually indebted into their debt, or they have certain obligations in the past that they can't meet. So now they are going into the relationship with hope that, hey, I'm going to be your man, or I'm going to be your women, mostly actually women, interestingly enough, that will get you out of this mess. The problem with that is they actually go into the mess together and they stay with it because they don't have a plan to get out in the first place. So please, we'll be talking a lot about that in the next couple minutes. Asset and income protection deals with insurance. Okay, so how many insurances that you need to know? Well, first, life insurance. Everybody knows what life insurance is? Yes, it's very simple. If you die, somebody else gets the money. Okay, the key component of that is somebody else. Life insurance is not for you. Okay, so something you need to start thinking about is that if you ever ask somebody, oh, do I need life insurance? Well, step back and ask the question, who do I want to benefit on my death? Who do I want to take care of? I mean, you may be laughing right now because you don't have any dependent. I have a son and I have a wife. If something happened to me, if I died, I want to make sure that they're taken care of, at least for 5 years. That means I need to replace my income for 5 years. So whatever my income is times 5, that's what they will get if I die. This is an example, okay? So a lot of people want to propose to you a plan to buy a very large sum of life insurance. Be very careful with that. Life insurance has to be correlated towards a need or a risk. Okay? Some people take life insurance because there is a mortgage or there is a debt that may come, that may go into their family if they own a house. So therefore, their life insurance actually correlated towards how much debt they have with the house or the mortgage. So when you are looking for life insurance, always correlate it with some form of a need. The next insurance is called disability insurance. A lot of you will graduate from here and will be working either in private companies or public companies or government. Okay? Usually, all three of them offer some form of benefits, and these benefits have disability insurance built into it. Inside disability insurance, however, there are three types. There is platinum, there is gold, and there is garbage. Okay? What you usually get is a platinum for 2 years, and then it reverts to garbage. What do I mean by that? A platinum disability insurance usually covers your occupation for 2 years. Meaning, if you cannot do what you do, if you cannot be what you are doing as that job, they will pay your coverage. They will pay that benefit to you for that period of time. So let's say I'm a journalist. I make $100,000 a year. I know it's journalists. I don't think they make $100,000, but it's for example purposes. So I'm a journalist. I make $100,000 a year. I have a disability insurance. Usually they cover 70% of your annual income for 2 years. Meaning if something happened to me, if I become disabled, okay, the company will pay $70,000 a year for 2 years. After 2 years, that contract will revert to any occupation. Meaning if I can work in any occupation, then they are no longer covering me. That's the garbage. So there's three definitions. One definition called the own occupation. Second, the gold one is called regular occupation. Third one is any occupation. You do not want to buy disability insurance with the word any occupation on it, because technically insurance company will never pay. Because if you can flip burgers in McDonald's, you can sharpen pencils and staples, well guess what? You're not going to get paid. So that's disability insurance. The other insurance is called critical illness. Critical illness is a lump sum of money that you will get upon a diagnosis of a dreaded diseases, such as heart attack, cancer, stroke, Alzheimer. So there's 23 different illnesses that they cover right now. Most of you who work in government or health authority later on, if you graduate, I don't know if anybody of you are actually trying to get into the health industry, usually you're covered up to $25,000. But most private companies and most companies out there doesn't have this coverage. This coverage is meant for you to get additional money to get some treatment. That's really it. We are promoting people to have this type of coverage, and how much is it? It's about 1 year of your monthly expenses, 1 year of your annual expenses. So if you earn $100,000, please have at least $100,000 in coverage. Okay. The other insurance is health insurance. So a lot of people have health insurance when they work. They usually cover your prescription, dental, okay, and these are usually paid for by your employers. If you are self-employed, you can buy your own health insurance by just buying it regularly, just like any other people. You have to pay premium, or you can have it as a deduction on your business expense. So there's two ways for that, to do that. So it depends on where you are at your business. Both can have different advantages and disadvantages. Other insurances that you need to know about is travel insurance. So please have that when you're traveling outside Canada. It's very cheap, but it covers you a very significant amount of money. Okay. House insurance if you have a house later on. Rental insurance. I don't know if anybody of you guys are renting right now. So did you ask if you need to buy rental insurance? So you might want to ask that. Okay. Because that means if something happened to your belongings, then they will cover partially or the whole value of what you lose, what you lost, if something does happen to the house. Car insurance, house insurance is usually mandatory in BC. Well, no, not house insurance. Car insurance is. What we usually tell people is that please combine them all together. The premium is usually lower if you can combine all the health insurance, travel insurance, and auto insurance together. So some of the trick that you may learn. Bookkeeping and tax and saving retirement, we like to put that together because savings in retirement deals a lot with taxes. In Canada, you are allowed to put some money into registered investment. Registered investments are really places that government provided for you with added benefits such as RSP, tax-free saving account, RESP, RDSP, anything with an R in front of it, usually it's called registered. That means there's a benefit on it. Okay? We'll be talking a lot about RSP, what does it mean? Tax-free saving account, what does it mean? Do you need it? Okay, so we'll be touching base on that. Taxes, again, we're doing, yes?
Sorry, what's an RDSP?
RDSP is Registered Disability Saving Plan.
Okay.
RESP, Registered Education Saving Plan. RPP, Registered Pension Plan. Yes, there's a lot of R's out there. There's also a catch. In every R, there is a catch. Meaning there is a filter in which how you need to withdraw that money properly to reduce your overall tax. But we'll talk about that later. Okay? Bookkeeping and tax. So how many of you guys actually going to own a business? Excellent. And you know, your own business in that sense. You're going to be self-employed. That's good. These are very important for you, bookkeeping. Not so much as the tax. When you own a business, you need to take account for every single thing of expenses that you incur to operate your business. Why? Because for every single thing that you can tell the government that these are the costs of me running my business, you don't need to pay tax on those. And taxes in Canada are very high. If you look into your handouts, you'll see what's the marginal tax in terms of how much you pay tax on any given annual income level. And we start at 20%. This is very, very high. If you own a corporation, you start at 13%. Yes?
Quick question about this chart. Is it for...
This is 2013.
Is it for single or combined?
This is for single.
Okay.
Yes. Combined in what way?
Like as in if you have people that are married and they
yeah, you can claim a dependent on that, meaning you get a tax credit, so then you get an additional $11,000 that you can deduct for your taxes in that sense. So, but be careful if you claim dependents. There's also certain things that you lose. Okay, so but going back to taking bookkeeping, or having a good record on every single thing that you spend on your business is very, very important for you to make sure that you're not paying too much taxes. So a lot of business owners that I met, they're paying too much taxes because they don't know how to properly keep tabs on their expenses. And they're afraid. Because they don't know, they're afraid to claim certain things. For example, you can claim part of your house if you're working from home. You can claim part of your cell phone if you're working as a self-employed. You can claim interest on your mortgage. So these are huge expenses that can be deducted that you can get benefit from, and you don't need to pay an extra tax on it. Okay? For you who are not interested in working for yourself, who are interested to just get a job, that's all you need to worry is about taxes. Very simple. At the end of the year, you get a T4. Well, actually, not the end of the year. At the end of February, you get a T4 indicating how much the company is paying you and how much tax they have taken out from you. And you need to do the calculation whether or not you still owe more or the government of Canada actually owe you money. If you believe that you owe money to the government, you are allowed to put some of your hard-earned money into an RRSP. So, why an RRSP? The government is telling Canadians that if you put money into an RRSP, that will be a deduction on your income. To put it simple, if you earn $100,000, and we know that for $100,000, you will be taxed, you'll be at the 38%, 38.29%. So the government is telling you, hey, you earn $100,000 today, this year. Thank you very much. We will take some taxes from you. And you say, well, hold on. I actually contribute an RSP. And how much you contribute to RSP? Well, let's say if I contribute $1 into my RRSP, the government will have to tell you that, oh, sorry, that means you're not earning $100,000. You're actually earning $99,999. And therefore, if we take taxes away from you, we will give you back 38.29 cents on the dollar that you put into your RSP. So most people, if they make $100,000, they know they're in that bracket, they want to know how much tax refund they will get. So if they put a $10, they will get 3.8 or $3.80 based on this graph. If you put $100, they get $38 back.
How does that benefit the government?
How does that benefit the government? Well, the government will take it away, the government will tax it when you are 72. So RSP is not tax-free forever. RSP is just a tax holiday until you need it at some point. Because you will withdraw that money one day. If you decide not to withdraw it, the government will force you to withdraw it at 72. At the rate of 7% in the first year, 8%, 9%, until if you go to 90, you have to take 20% out. Okay. The idea is that when you are at 72, you're supposed to be earning at the lower tax bracket, and therefore when you are taking out money from your RSP, that needs to be declared income. So let's say at 72 you earn no income, but you have $100,000 in RSP. You take out all of your RSP, that year you earn $100,000. And at $100,000 you need to pay the taxes. So that's how the government make their money. But the government gives you that tax refund as an incentive that they want you to save. Yes?
Does that mean if you only take out 10 grand that first year at 72, you don't pay any taxes on that?
If you have no other any income,
Yeah.
yes, that's correct. But the government also have government pension, such as CPP, OAS, GIS, Universal Pension Plan, Group RSP. So technically for somebody earns nothing in Canada, they need to be very, very lazy. We'll discuss about that later. Education savings is dealing about your children's education, not your own education. Actually I shouldn't say that. Education saving deals with how you can also withdraw RSP, how you can withdraw fund from your RSP to fund your education. So for RSP, you have two ways to withdraw it without incurring any tax. One is home buyer's plan, meaning you are going to use that money to purchase your first home. You can take out $25,000 out of your RSP, no tax. Okay. The catch is you need to return that $25,000 after 2 years owning that home, and you need to return it within 15 years. So if you take out $25,000, you need to pay back into your own RSP $1,666 every year. If you do not pay it back, it will become an income and you have to pay tax on it. The other way for you to take out an RSP money without incurring any tax is if you're using it for education purposes. So you can take out up to $10,000 per year from your RSP to go back into school. When you graduate, you have 10 years to repay back. So if you have $10,000 that you take out, you have to put $1,000 back into your RSP if you don't want to incur any tax. So that's how we view education. But most people use education savings for their children's education. So they invested in RESP, or called Registered Education Saving Plan. For every dollar you put into an RESP, the government of Canada will give you 20%. So if you get $1, government of Canada give you 20 cents extra. If your child doesn't go to school, however, the government wants all their grants back. Okay, now the interest that you earn is yours. So out of the, let's say you only put $1 on your RESP for your children, very sad, but let's say you do that. The government gives you 20 cents, so now your RESP is worth $1.20. You put it into a GIC, and in 17 years it's now worth $5. But unfortunately your son didn't go to school. So what the government wants is just 20 cents. You get to keep the $4.80.
Sorry, what's a GIC?
Oh, yes, we'll talk about it. The GIC is a guaranteed interest account. It's like what the bank is promising you to give you a guaranteed interest. It's like a savings account.
So you have to declare that account as an RESP?
Yes. So think of an RESP, RRSP, tax-free saving account. Those are just like a glass. Okay? The glass is very solid. It always looks like this. It has the same rules and the same limitation. But whatever you put is your choice. So a lot of people mistaken say, I want to buy RSP. Well, technically you can't buy RSP. You can buy whatever liquid to put it into your RSP. Okay, and this can be GIC, this can be high interest saving account, this can be mutual fund, this could be stock and bond, this could be anything that you want. But the RSP itself is just a cup. Okay, it's just a limitation. There's a benefit, like I said, the cup will give 20 cents, or the cup will deduct your income, and those are the benefit of investing in this type of cups. And we'll talk about all the cups later on. Any questions so far? Non-registered is the very high, the very top one. That usually deals with anything beyond those cups, and also the investment inside your house. Okay, so because those are not registered. So now, the reality of it is, a lot of people can't get these type of advice in terms of understanding everything. When they go into banks, when they go into financial advisors, they are succumbed to a transactional nature because financial advisors need to make money. What happened is that because the commission-driven industry, because in the financial industry, commission is very, very how do I say this without actually telling people to let's just say that financial industry has a bias towards getting huge commission. A lot of people are being rewarded from getting high commission instead of getting good advice or giving good advice. So you have to be aware of this. I recently did an article in SFU and I said, well, if you want to choose financial advisors, the first thing you need to ask yourself is that, is this financial advisors talk about a lot of products when they meet with you? Or they go and talk about what's your plan? What is it that you need to accomplish in any given time? If these financial advisors keep telling you, you need to buy this, you need to buy that, you need to buy this, I want you to step back and say, is his interest for me or is it for him? And I would choose the latter. Financial advisor who really take the time to spend in terms of crafting a good financial plan, 5, 10 years, your retirement plan, as well as thinking about all your rooms in your financial houses. Okay. I'm going backwards. So today's case study. So this is Sophie. I know her. Her name is not Sophie, but let's say it's Sophie. So her top concern is anxious about the future and paying off debt. And she will have $40,000 of debt owing after school. Her parents are supporting her living expenses currently, and she's probably going to be earning about $35,000 to $55,000. And savings and investing, where does she start? So these are most students that I met. These are most of their concerns. So how do we address this? So you can, hold on, let me go backwards. Sorry. So again, we always have to start with a budget. Okay? What are the budget for? It's for plate, priorities, and pruning. Hello? Sorry. When we start thinking about the budget, we need to start thinking about those 3 P's. So what is it that you have right now? So where is your income, or where are your resources coming from, and how secure are they? A lot of people say, well, I have good parents that give me money every month. Well, that's good. But how many years are you going to rely on that income? So you need to ask yourself that question. Then you know approximately how much you're dealing with in terms of money-wise. You have a job. You can always ask yourself, how secure is my job? Am I being able to move forward in my job? Will I be successful and actually earn more income in the future? And that will give you a set mark in terms of how much you are going to plan for that. Priorities. So always spend your money on your basic necessities first, meaning your bill needs to be paid. Okay? Don't go into debt, or don't go into places where people start chasing you for money. I've had a lot of cases where they just say, well, I would rather go to the movies rather than pay my electrical bill. And I go, maybe your priorities is not in the right order there. But people do that. So please pay the bills. Make sure that you have a good set of priorities and spend what you have left. Never spend what you don't have. And this is where the credit cards question come about. Okay? I tell a lot of students in SFU, your biggest investment today is your education. Because every one of you one day will graduate from this school with hope to earn some form of income. Sorry, people on the webcast or the video. I forgot to put my phone on ring, on vibrate. Sorry. So priorities. Sorry. Whoa. So don't go into a lot of debt when you don't need to. Your study is your biggest investment. Because everybody of us is expecting to, on average, everybody of us who are going to graduate from SFU will earn approximately $30,000 to $50,000. That's their aim. So if you can show me any investment right now that will provide you with a constant $50,000 of an annual return, I would like to know. Because I've been in the investment industry as well, and I haven't had any investment that will guarantee me a $50,000 rate of return. Or $30,000 rate of return. Or $20,000 rate of return working in McDonald's, whatever. So your biggest investment right now is your study, or whatever it is that you're studying. So worry about that. Worry about finishing your study with the least amount of debt as possible. Because when you are starting your career with the least amount of debt, you will be less worried, and you will make less bad decisions for your investment going forward. And pruning. If you know you're having bad habits of spending too much on one area, such as spending too much on, I don't know, makeup, spending too much on movies. Try to prune it. How do you prune it? I do a game. So we have families who spend too much on going out to eat. I told them, well, don't go cold turkey. Don't say, okay, that's it. I don't want to go out anymore. It's never going to work. What you do is that you still go out, but now your aim is to spend 10 or 20% less than what you would have spent. So let's say you have a list of menu and you say, okay, I want to have steak today and a drink. So that's going to cost me 10 bucks. Well, I want to prune some, so I'm going to try to spend $9 instead. So what do I sacrifice? So when you start having this habit of actually denying yourself of the full, complete course, you'll start thinking about saving. You start thinking about actually putting aside some money and making sure that your investment is actually growing at a decent rate. Now we talk about debt. A lot of debt comes from necessity. Again, student loans, because you need to earn you need to start thinking of leveraging other people's money, because you know at the end of your school years you are going to earn a lot more. So sometimes necessity is fine. When you are in debt because you need to be, that's okay. Fear, false burden, that's not okay. This is when, again, when you start thinking about you're taking somebody else's responsibility of owning up their mistake. So a lot of people are actually trying to bail out their sons, they're trying to bail out their daughters, they're trying to bail out their brothers, they're trying to bail out their parents because of the debt issue. This is not okay. Okay? But let's say you do, finally you are in trouble in terms of your debt is keep increasing. There is always a solution. So there is that proactive, meaning that you're now thinking about pruning your expenses. You need to increase your income. There's only two ways for you to combat debt. Increase your income and reduce your spending. There is no other magic way. There is no consolidation 101, whatever it is that people are advertising right now. You have too much debt, consolidate it, and you get in lower interest. That's not solution. Okay? That's just fixing the symptom, not the roots. When you really want to fix your debt, increase your income, reduce your spending. That's it. That's the only two ways you do it. If you can't do it, then yes, the consolidation in line of credit may help you, because you need to pay the higher interest first so that you can focus on the lower interest. So if you have, let's say, a credit card that has 19% of interest and you have line of credit with 4% of interest, focus on the credit card first. Don't focus on both. A lot of people that I meet focuses on both at the same time instead of allocating all resources to pay down their most highest interest of debt. And that's a mistake. Because if you have, let's say you have $100 and you pay 50 bucks on each rather than paying 75 and just pay the minimum on the line of credit that only earns you 4% interest, or that only take you 4% interest, you're now reducing your highest credit card by 75 bucks instead of just 50 bucks. And therefore the interest that is coming the next month is not going to be as high. And that's how you can actually reduce your debt significantly. And we'll take a look at that when we look at the snowball effect. So this is what happened. So she borrowed $10,000 from the government, and so total amount owing is about $40,000. Now the government rate, interest rate right now is 5.5%. Okay. On average, it takes about 7 years to pay off loan. If you pay off for 7 years, if you think about 7 years of paying off that loan, you need to put $575 per month. And you're paying close about $8,283 of interest. If you pay it in 10 years, your interest is about 50% higher. On average, for students, they pay about 14 years. Okay, so they're paying close to $16,000 in interest. This is on average for $40,000 loan. We always advocate people to spend close to $1,750 per month when you are earning no income at all, or if you are using student loans. And that still amounts for $84,000. I know that's still a large amount number, but this, we did a little bit of research, and this seems to be a little bit palatable for us to kind of start your discipline in terms of savings. In your budget, so on your second page, we actually give you a budget in terms of how you can allocate your resources. And it also shows on the bottom black line the recommended percentage, how much you need to spend on each given room. So you have housing recommended is about 25 to 36%. Okay? So personal care is about 8 to 14%. Gifts about 2 to 10%. Investment is 10%, but right now I would rather you spend all of that to your education, transportation 3 to 12. So you get the gist of it. Okay? When you know you're spending more on one room, that means you're taking out from other rooms. So you need to really have a good balance on where you put your money into. And if you have any questions, you let me know in that regards. So a lot of people say, well, living expenses, that's easy, that's just my mortgage, or that's my rent. It's not. Okay, there are other expenses that you need to care about. Because when you are finally go outside for by yourself, you need to start thinking about all this. So what's my home insurance? Again, rental insurance. What's my heating and gas? What's my electricity? You're paying $700 or $1,000 of rent right now that consists all of that. Make sure that you know what each of them cost. So when you move out, you can start thinking about, oh, is it a good move? Is it a bad move? Because if you know all the costs, then you can make educated decisions. This is a comparative study that we did. If you do an eating out twice a week and eating out every day, that's a Japanese, Greek, and white spot. So if you eat out every day, Japanese food, in 4 years, you're going to be spending about $20,000. Okay? That's half your loan, so don't Apparently, if you eat in Greek, that's the most expensive one. You're spending about almost 30 grand. Okay? If you eat out twice a week, just by doing half of it, you see it's actually reducing it by 8. So for 4 years, you're only spending about 8,000 instead of the $20,000. So eating out has a lot of merit in terms of.
Is that $750 the price of
Yes.
one meal or 2 meals?
This is the lunch. So lunch is $750.
And
Dinner is $15.
Yeah.
So this is an average Japanese restaurant cost.
Right. I'm saying, do you times it by 2, or is it
Times
already?
it by 2 a week,
Oh, we do. Okay.
right? So this is, like I said, eating out 2 a week.
Yeah.
That's the lunch number, dinner number. Dinner with drinks. Okay. So people actually spend an additional $5 to $6 for drinks, which is insane. So just be careful with that. Okay. General expenditures, vacation, clothing, pets. So for those who want pets, it costs in Vancouver about $2,000 or $3,000 a year for you to maintain a pet. Think about that. Tuition. Wow, if you know this, this year, your UPass have increased. And next year it's going to be another increase of 4.5%. So if you have a steady level of income, make sure you reduce that purchasing power by 8% or by 3%. Because you know it's going to go there. Okay. Okay, so this is debts in terms of the difference between credit cards and other debts. If you have a student loans, you're going to be paying about 5.5%. Line of credits right now, on average, are about 7.5%. So if you try to get a line of credit, they will give you at 7 to 8%. Yes?
What is line of credit?
A line of credit is like a credit card, but a bigger amount. And it usually ties in with your income. So it's the ability for a financial institution to loan you money.
It's like personal credit.
That's correct. It's like a personal credit. It's usually lower interest than the credit card because it is technically a higher amount. And line of credit usually is based on your income or based on something that can warrant that bigger chunk of money. So, credit cards, 19% on average. I've seen credit cards with a 25% interest. So please make sure you know what your credit card is charging you on interest. Never, ever, ever do a cash advance from a credit card. Okay, I don't know how many people of you guys have done this, but a cash advance from credit card is an immediate 23% slap on the day you take the money out. Okay, on the day you take that cash advance, the bank makes 23%. So don't do it. Instant cash loan, this is the Money Mart, all those people who are offering loans, usually about 23%. On average. There are people who are actually offering up to 50% interest. I don't know why people still go to that. I think that's insane, but they do. So just be very careful with that. Transportation, you need to cut for auto insurance. Fuel, parking is one of the most missed expense, as well as the maintenance of your car or whatever it is if you have a car. Personal care, this is where the life insurance, your medical service plan, and you can be eligible for subsidy on MSP. So you can take a look at this. I'll give you the slides and you can take a look at this and see if you can qualify for MSP subsidy. Okay, and this is so we know that based on the $1,750 a month, she will spend $84,000 in 4 years. The tuition is about 30 grand, so she owes $114,000. So if she pays it off, it's actually going to be $1,600 a month. This is what people get really difficult to pay off their loan because that's a big paycheck. That's almost 50% on average in Canada. In Canada, people on average earning about $30,000. So that's already half of that, and they're paying about interest of $23,000 in 7 years. If they decide to pay in 10 years, they pay about $34,000 of interest. And again, on average, it takes about 14 years now for students to pay down their loan. So they're paying close to 50 grand. Just interest. Okay. What do you need to learn from this? Pay off your debt as soon as possible. If you can pay off your debt as soon as possible, you're paying less interest. Okay. It's painful, but I would rather you be painful in the very short-term period rather than a long-term pain. As something that you need to learn. So Sophie decided that she's going to be working as a marketing assistant. She's earning $35,000, but hey, she's only getting $27,000 net. Where is the rest of the money go? Well, welcome to Canada. We pay taxes. So $4,800 goes to taxes. $1,600 goes to CPP, or called the Canadian Pension Plan. So the government of Canada is forcing you to save. So that's what it is. As a business owner, you can say, no, I'm not paying this. But beware, that means you're not going to get any money when you retire. A lot of people are regretting that. So there's a lot of planning to do if you don't want to pay for that. And EI is employment insurance. So you also pay for employment insurance. Okay. this is your T4. This is how it's going to look like when you actually working. So at the end of February, your company will give you a T4, which indicate how much you earn, or how much they're paying you, and how much tax that the government wants you to pay. So you buy this, you can calculate whether or not you owe taxes or not. Again, by the calculation that I provided you in this handout. So the way you do it is, so if you look into your income taxes, okay. So it says, if you earn 0 to 11,038, you pay no taxes. That's great. Now, usually when you're working and you're still earning $11,000, you still pay tax. Or you contribute to some form of taxes. So you need to file taxes. Because if you don't file taxes, the government is not going to return you the money that they take out. Okay. So some people just do part-time. They actually earn about $11,000. But every month when they get their paycheck, it says that you're paying taxes. So you need to file taxes to get those taxes back. Okay. So what does that mean? How does that mean? So if you earn $11,039, how much you owe in tax? How much? Anybody want to venture a guess? Not you, you know what the answer is. So if I earn $11,039, how much tax do I owe?
20 cents.
20 cents. You are correct. Only the extra dollar that you earn are taxed at 20%. So a lot of people are going to tell you, no, if you earn $11,000 now, you're going to be taxed at 20%. No. Only the extra dollar you earn beyond the 38, you're going to pay some tax. That's why it goes like this. So $11.39, you pay 20 cents. So if you earn $37,568, you will pay $5,254. If you earn $37,569, you earn $5,254 plus plus 22 cents. Okay. So if you earn $43,562, you will pay $6,546 plus 29 cents. Okay. Everybody knows now how to read this. Okay. So now there is for next year. So I used the 2013 because we still use the 2013 when we're filing our taxes. So next year there is a new line here. For people who are earning $150,000, they need to pay 45%. So the government wants to tax a little bit more. Okay. So again, so this is the calculation. If you're $45,000, 45,000 minus 43,562. Again, because that's the base. So we know that 605.46 is the base. Plus the 427, so you owe 6,973. So this is the allocation in terms of how it's going to look like for $35,000 or $55,000 of income. No, we're not going to talk about that. So we talk about saving plan. No, we talk about investment. Bank make money. I don't think you need to worry about this. Okay, so investment. All right. And then I think we are off by this. Okay. So what's in investments are really money that you put into certain cups or no cups at all, or the liquid that you are entrusting your money into with hope that it's earning something bigger next year or in the future. So we know that we are investing in CPP, or Canadian Pension Plan. For every dollar you put in, 5% goes into the Canadian Pension Plan. What's the hope? So if you take a look at that, so with the hope is if you reach 65 and you work for 40 years, the government of Canada is going to give you $1,000 a month for the rest of your life. So it's a decent money. $1,000 a month for the rest of your life if you work 40 years. earning $45,000 in average. You will get that. OAS is a reward for you being Canadian, living in Canada, and being old. So if you're old, well actually if you're 67, and if you're alive and breathing in Canada, and if you're a Canadian resident, you'll get $500 from the OAS. It's going to change. We don't know. It has changed from 65 to 67 2 years ago, but that's what's the number right now. GIS is if you have no income whatsoever, or if your income is lower than $16,000, you're going to get an additional $700 a month. So it's very generous of the government of Canada. This is why we are taxing people very heavily. Okay. Yes?
Your CPP isn't based on your income?
Your CPP is based on your income in terms of your contribution.
But not what you can add.
No. So as long, again, the maximum CPP that you will get is if you earn $45,000 on average, and if you work for 40 years. Average people, or average Canadians, they're receiving about $500 a month. Average Canadian for CPP. They receive $500 on OAS. They receive none of this. So on average, Canadian receiving about $1,000 a month from the government. That's on average. You have employer sponsored. So again, if you work in a company, they usually give you an RSP or a group RSP. What is a group RSP? Group RSP is if you put $1, the company will match $1. But you have to invest it with you have to choose the investment yourself. If the investment goes down, well, too bad, so sad. The investment goes up, great for you. But the onus of the investment, or the onus of how much you need to get the return, is on your hand. If you work in government or some public companies that offer you a pension, you are no longer exposing your money into the market. You are now exposing your money into your mortality risk. Meaning, if you live a long, long time, you will get a lot of money. If you live a short, short life, you will have nothing. Okay? So the risk is how long you live, no longer how the market is doing. So this one is still better. So the pension is always better because statistically, Canadians live longer nowadays. Okay? They get sick more, but they live longer. So if you have a choice between a pension and a group RSP, always choose the pension. Okay? And then we talk about your own investment, which is the CUPs. So we have the tax-free saving account CUP. So we know, what is a tax-free saving account CUP? Well, a tax-free saving account CUP allows you to put money or whatever liquid that you choose, investment that you choose, and any interest that you gain from it is non-taxable, ever. So you can put stock market, so you can play the stock market, you can buy junk bond. Let's say you put $500 and then next year it grows to $1 million. Those are non-taxable. Okay? While if you put it into just regular savings, if you put $500, it grows to $1 million. Now you have to pay taxes on the $990,095. So put it into tax-free savings. There's a limit, however, on how much you can put inside the tax-free saving account. The limit is $5,500 a year, and if you are 19 if you are 19 at 2009, you are allowed to put almost $31,000 in this account. So that's tax-free saving account. RRSP, again, we briefly talked about this. Every time you put money into it, it is a deduction to your income. So when do you need to put money into an RSP? Well, guess what? We actually make a suggestion for you. Oops. Remember we have this slide that is highlighted? That's when we believe you should put into an RSP. That's when we believe you should think about putting your money into an RSP. If you earn less than this, don't worry about RSP. Okay? Table it till next year. Your contribution room will always grow forever.
So it carries over?
That's correct, forever. So only contribute when you are at this level. Why? The same dollar that you contribute at this level will give you 29% return or refund. Same dollar if you're earning this, is only giving you 22. That's 7% of increase. So if you know, now if a lot of people know, oh, actually Sam, I'll be earning about 150,000. Well, then don't invest here. Don't put your RSP here. Put it when you're here. Because the same dollar you put when you're earning 150 is now earning you 43% of return. So anything beyond this, consider RSP. Anything below here, don't do it. Actually, anything below here, if you have an RSP, take it out. Because that's what you want. RSP is going to be taxed eventually. And you want to be taxed when you are earning at the lower marginal tax bracket. So let's say, oh, I'm not going to be working this year, but I have an RSP. Well, take out 11,000. You pay no tax. Okay. So there's a strategy that you need to do with that. Okay, so we talked about that. We have RESP, which is Registered Education Savings Plan. Every dollar you put, expense goes into it. RDSP, if you are diagnosed with a disability, you can put into this plan, and for every dollar you put, the government gives you $3. So it's the 100% return, but only if you are disabled. So tell your friends if they are disabled that there is a government plan that allows them to save more. And then the rest is your non-registered, your practice, and your own business. Okay, and my time is up. Will any questions specifically on that regards? I know my time is up, so I'm sorry I'm going a little bit over. We're gonna have a lot of our workshops is gonna be dealing more focused on certain investment. For example, if you want to know about bonds, stocks, and stuff like that, we can tell you a little bit more on that. Because there technically in Canada there's about 12,000 of choice that you can make. So you decide what you want to do. We have a range from just cash, or putting your money into your bed, or you buy mining companies or something like that. So there's a lot of options in these things. Any questions? Can we pretty much answer all those stuff? Credit scores, Credit scores is how well, or how is any financial institution out there is judging you based on how well you've been managing your bills. If you owe credit card some money, how often are you late in paying them back? If you're never late, your credit score is usually pretty high out there. The benefit of having a high credit scores is that your interest rate is always lower compared to other people. On average, Canadians have 1 or 2 months in which they forgot to pay their bills. It's just the way it is. So that means that's when we talk about line of credit, the average is about 7%. That's average Canadian. For some people with good, strong credit scores, they can reduce that credit or the line of credit to 5%. So instead of, the bank can offer you the same amount of loan with a reduced interest rate. So that's the beauty of maintaining good credit scores. Please do not be fooled into people telling you, oh, you need to get credit cards to get a good high, credit scores. It doesn't work like that. It only works when you have a credit score. If you have a credit card and if you pay it regularly, that's how you get good credit ratings or good credit scores. Yes.
Generally, how do you increase the line of credit? That you have on the card.
how do you increase your how do you increase your credit? Don't ask for it. That's one rule. If you ask for it, means that's bad. That's actually a negative impact on your credit scores. Your credit score, or you can only increase your credit if your financial institution finally see yourself as a good candidate for them to increase the credit. And usually this happens if you keep paying your bill on time, or you pay them actually in advance, like a day or two before, whatever it is. And usually they so if you have 500, you'll see that in the next 2 years they say, oh, we'll increase it to $1,000. And then the next year they go, oh, you've been good, we'll increase it to 1,500. Now when you go into 7,000, now they say, oh, you know what, you've been good, I'll give you $20,000 now. And then 40,000, and then 100,000. So, is it good to have that huge lump sum? Yes, if you can control it. Okay, so right now, for example, in my credit card, I have about $30,000 limit. Don't steal my credit card. Okay, but it takes a decade for me to reach that point. And the rule is don't ask to increase your credit, because that's actually bad for you.
Who decides?
Who decides? The guy with the money. It's not you. You can't control it. Okay. What you can control is what you can control is how disciplined you are in paying the bills, and that will show the institution that you are a responsible person and you are worth to be trusted with more money. And that's really it. Now, if you go to the bank and and then you go to the teller and whatever, and then teller's like, oh, you might be qualified for a line of credit. Do it. Okay? Don't say, oh no, I don't want it. No. Do it. Don't use it. But do it. That will increase your credit scores. So the more credit you will have that they offer you, they will give a positive on the credit scores.
Does it also depend on how often you use it?
Yes and no. So if you don't use it, it doesn't affect negatively. So a lot of people are confused. They say, oh, I have a credit card. I haven't used it. I need to use it because then it's not going to reflect that, good on my credit card. No. If you don't use it, it doesn't do anything. Okay. Now there are some credit cards who will force you to use it, or otherwise they cut it, and that's fine. Do not close your credit card. Let's say you have a credit card, don't go say, I don't need it anymore, I want it closed. Don't do it. That's another negative.
But as for now, we're students, so we got away from all those fees, credit card fees.
Yes, I pay no fees.
Why?
You can always go to the bank and say, I want no fees.
What, you just say it?
Yes.
How is that possible?
How is that possible? You ask them. You go to them and say, give me a credit card that I don't want to pay annual fees for. And they'll give you an options.
Oh,
Some-
so they always
some-
have those options.
Yes. Sometimes you can even bargain.
Oh,
If you have good presence, if you have good investment, you can say, well, I want a credit card that I don't want to pay fees on. They'll give it to you. Okay? If you don't ask, you don't get.
okay.
So ask. What's the worst case scenario? They say no. Oh, okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
That's,
What's the best scenario? You get it. It's okay. So nothing to lose there. Yes.
Your credit score is based on all your credit cards. So it's one.
That's correct. Your credit score is based not on your credit, all your credit cards, based on all your credits. So credit card, line of credit, mortgage, car loan, student loan, everything.
So if you close any of those credit cards, it's negative?
It's a negative impact. It's not hugely negative, but it is a negative impact. Because that means you're telling them, like, I'm not going to be responsible for this. I would rather you destroy it. So you can't use it. They don't know you destroy it. Okay. They'll keep sending you a new one after 5 years, and then you destroy it again. If you're too scared, somebody else is using that. I have a credit card that I haven't been using it for like 5 years. But I have it.
Wait, so then would you recommend, or not recommend, but say like,
Would I recommend you to be in that? No.
but like say I have a credit card at one bank.
Yes.
Is it worth it, or is it necessary to get a credit card at another bank or something just to get a couple?
Okay,